Suspending the campaign, at least in my mind, because mind you, I still owed money on the campaign. So even though I was no longer going to be pursuing the candidacy, the campaign wasn't technically closed. But for all intents and purposes, I had exited the race. I had endorsed my former opponent and wanted to do everything possible to get this individual elected, right? At least at the time. So, however, once I was no longer running for office, in my mind, I was forced to focus on things that previously I used the campaign to distract me from. Namely, how much I missed my first boyfriend, Peter. And mind you, much of this I know because of going back in my journal entries. Like I said, Instagram posts too, but mostly journal entries is where I would talk about the things that I do not want as public, right? That I don't want as social media, because they're not the happy, glorious things that you talk about. So yeah, looking back and reading, I was like, oh my God, I'm still talking about how much I miss and love this man who hasn't treated me the best, who really I'm better off without. But just to give you folks a little sense of what my mindset was. So you have to understand that he kind of left the door open. So in my mind, like the possibility of us getting back together, as crazy as it sounds, like it was a very real possibility. And again, it did end up happening at some point. We're not even at the halfway point in the story, almost at the halfway point, but not quite. So, yeah, I can't, there's no lying about it. Like, I miss this man terribly. I would have done anything, even for just a little glimpse of him. I used to do stupid things, like I knew the route that he would take to work. So oftentimes I would be finished with like a morning tour and I could like take the route back. And a couple times, we would like cross paths. He'd usually be on his scooter and we'd like meet eyes for a second. And he no longer worked at Target, so I could no longer like run into there and count on seeing him. But I'm not gonna lie, like I miss this man. Like I missed him terribly. And I do think that there was a part of me that expected to get back together. And the best way I know how to describe this little period of time in 2022, after I ended the campaign, so mid-March-ish, we'll just say mid-March to August. I'm going to talk more about this period of time specifically in a second, but the best way I know how to describe it is that my feelings and I have to be honest, my desperation, I felt like there was a time when I would have given anything just for a glimpse of this man, just to speak with him one more time. I know that sounds so crazy and stupid. And that's why I have to tell you about a story, something that happened during this time period that I just described, and I'll talk more about this period in a second. But I just remember taking a walk downtown San Francisco, financial district, and I was just, in a fog. Just so, again, I would have given anything just to talk to this man one more time. Like, I don't know what was wrong with me, but yeah. Would you believe me if I said, that I turned a corner and I looked up, there was Peter with an older man and an older woman who I did not recognize, but we looked at each other and I kid you not, I was unable to speak. And if you have not noticed, I don't have a hard time talking, okay? I'm very rarely ever at a loss for words. I was at a complete loss for words when I looked up and saw him. And you can read between the lines, but so he very quickly like kind of told the couple to like kind of move along. He's like, hey, I'm like, just go over here. I'm gonna take, I'm like, I swear to God, I don't even remember what he said, but it was very much giving like, hey, y'all go over there. I'm gonna go take care of this shortly. And then he kind of pulled me to the side. I don't remember saying anything to him. I swear to God, I was so like in awe, in shock. I swear to God, I don't even remember what we said to each other, if anything. What I do remember is that afterwards, I don't remember if it was like a day after or 2 days after, I remember texting him. So remember, I had not blocked him yet at this point. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I remember texting him and I was like, hey, and I remember phrasing it as like, hey, I'm so sorry if I was awkward. Like I was so shocked to see you, but I just wanted to say it was nice. Something like that. I don't honestly even remember if he replied or not. I think he might have reacted. Maybe he like reacted to the post, to the text. And the best way I know how to describe this time is that kind of like, that's when my feelings and my feelings and my desperation kind of reached a pinnacle. I saw him. It was, again, I can't even describe it. It was unfucking describable. That moment that I just described when I ran into him. So later on, I found out that was actually his father and his stepmother. Remember, I met his mother, but I did not meet, and I guess I have never met and will never meet his father and stepmother. So they were visiting San Francisco. And later on, I found out that the other side of things was when he asked them to step aside and then went and came and talked to me and then went back to join them after we parted ways. Apparently, Peter's father was very much like, I guess, asked a couple questions but didn't want to pry, but very much said like, yeah, there's something there. Again, I didn't find that out until months later. So anyway, that my feelings, my emotions reached a pinnacle, and I just remember having a conversation with myself like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. You need to get over this man. I will talk about when that happened. I will talk about the significance of that moment because it didn't happen until a few months later, okay? So remember, at this point, we're still mid-March. And I will talk about something very significant and important to the story that happened in the next video. So I'll expand more on all of that. Yeah, I won't say anything else. See you in the next video.